Hello everyone. I'm going to start a series to teach people how to actually analyze. Okay, this is going to be very in-depth. It's going to be several hours long. I think I timed it before, and it's about 14 hours worth of education that I'm going to kind of cram you with as much information as possible. Okay. Everything that I'm about to teach you in the span of these videos took me approximately 6 months of about 40 to 50 hour days, like constantly just learning, watching videos, following educators to be able to properly analyze charts now. Okay, so where I'm going to get started at is explaining to you what technical analysis is, fundamental, and sentimental. Okay. So what I'm going to do is just hide my tools and such. They're not going to be really that necessary right now. For fun, let's just pop it on NASDAQ. This one's the empty chart. Okay, so what you see in front of you, technical analysis. This includes being able to read charts, drawing up your indicators, your other tools that you decide to use that are right here, right? All on the left side of TradingView. And what this enables you to do is kind of forecast where things are going in the general direction and to see if there's any patterns that reappear that could potentially happen again, right? So small little example, I am a big fan of fib retracements. So let's take a look at this right here. For example, this is the last peak before a drop. So let's start the drawing there. We go all the way to the bottom there, right? And as you can see, 618, right? Watch one of the Fibonacci videos that I have in my learning list. You know, how to TradingView. There's a fib retracement. There's lots of fib lessons that I put in that video. Very, very useful. I'm not going to be teaching that stuff. I'm going to be teaching how to actually do all of this, okay? So as an example, like I said, retraced back there. Okay, draw from that high to this low. Retraced right back there. So judging with how this drop happened, this is one way you can actually predict, right? So we go trend-based fib extension, high to low to the next high. Look at that. That is the potential bottom, and that's exactly where it hit, and then up it went, right? So let's do it again, because it did it twice. So high, low, high. So what this tells us is this is the potential next bottom that it could hit, right? Because look, it already happened once, twice, 3 times when it hits the peak, right? But on the bottoms, it was 1, 2, right? Typically, there's 2 and 3, so there's going to be one more move down before a potential reversal, right? Your standard legs when it comes to these types of movements is about 5. Okay, that is what you call Elliott waves, and I'll explain that as we carry on the lessons. But like I said, technical analysis, just as an example, I used 2 tools, right, to give me a forecast of where things are going and where they could possibly go. All right, so what I'm going to do is just tab into right here, and there's 2 websites that I like to gather my information from. So first and foremost, I'm a forex trader. I am able to analyze forex charts with relative ease. However, this skill set applies to the stock market as well. The only difference is news in any particular stock may cause that particular stock to be volatile. Overall, the index plays very similarly to forex pairs, okay? So for any type of forex news, this is what I jump in on, forexfactory.com. And in here, it has a lot of information, and it tells you which particular currency has news on that day, right? So as an example, what was the trigger on Friday? Powell speaks. Now, again, when you saw, and I'll tab back here, when you saw that, this peak already happened, and it's just a matter of time, right? So it really doesn't matter what news comes out if you already projected the path it's going to go on, and you have a very significant, success with that accuracy. Very likely that's where it's going to go. So I already predicted it's going to be dropping down. It was just a matter of when, right? So what this told me is that this right here was the catalyst for it to drop. Okay, it dropped 497 points during trading hour, and I mean that's pretty significant. Okay, overall from my peak right here was about 1112, I think it was. Let's see where it's sitting at now. So yeah, it dropped even further, but where I analyzed it was about 1182. Right now where it's sitting at, it's 1294. Like that's pretty significant to have drop within the span of 2 weeks. Okay. So anyway, very important to get your news, your potential forecasts. This is the best site to be able to get all that information from. And I just have it filtered on USD. You can go right here where you see that little cone shape and put all the currencies on. These impact, red means it has a very significant impact, right? High impact, as you can see when I highlight it. The orange one has a medium, and the yellow one is a very low impact. So very likely there's not going to be a whole lot of movement going on in days where there's going to be a lot of yellow folders, as you can see, right? It might have a little spike at 8 o'clock, but this isn't one that really triggers the USD compared to when Fed chairs speak, or when interest rates rise, or CPI data comes out, or PMI, for example. Very, very important data that is able to give you information for the potential moves that will happen. PMI, not huge from what I remember. It doesn't have huge impact compared to CPI, but nonetheless, it's still labeled red, so I would expect a little bit of volatility during that hour. Now, what ends up happening, and I'm on this screen for quite a while. I'm just keeping my mouse active to keep your focus. But what typically happens is when there's volatile news that comes out, banks have kind of the free rein to be able to move currencies very quickly, right? Otherwise, it's all regulated. It has to be done legally. I don't know how else to put that really, but the banks are able to actually, with the news, they're able to either spike or drop the currencies very quickly, right? So for example, it takes 100,000 lot sizes, right? Which is 100,000 is approximately $1 million a pip, that kind of movement, bought or sold to move the stock, to move the currency pair 1 pip. Okay, so if you can imagine, for it to actually go from, you see the price $1.12 and 317 pips, right? In order for it to move even just 15 pips, that's $15 million worth of buying and selling that needs to take place. Okay, so extremely significant in order for these large movements to happen. And as you can see, whenever there is volatile news, right, these longer movements happen. Now this is on the daily time frame, so it'll be better off if I show you on the 1 hour, right, where we'll be able to pick off. Look at this, right? These big wicks are very good indicators that market was moved rather quickly and then drop back down, right? So let's pop a replay here and then drop it down. Look, even on the 30-minute, right? So let's see how long this actual wick is. That wick is 92 pips, okay? Watch this. 15-minute, still a big wick. 5-minute, still a big wick. 3-minute, oh, now we're getting closer. Look at that. Within 1 minute, you can see it's just dot, 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 dot. 1 minute, look how it spiked and then dropped. Right? Now you need to understand, it started here, it went up 100 pips, and then it dropped down to 44 pip gain. So that means it dropped another 56 pips. So 156 pip movement in 1 minute, okay? We can't do that kind of movement. This is all institutional. This is all banks and they are the ones that are able to control this kind of movement. Okay, so that's what you need to keep an eye on. When you see this sort of thing happening, this is going to be a key point to be able to draw back to for analysis. Okay, so that was this was what I call fundamental analysis, where we see kind of long-term projections, right? And FinViz is a great website to look more for news, right? It's more of the sentimental analysis. So you can pop on here and it gives you all the relative news that happens, right? So as you can see, all August 28th, which is today, right? Everything that came out in that time, right? Everything that could potentially trigger any sort of movement, right? Postal Service is chasing freight brokers as agency scrambles to slash costs. What does that mean? Might be included in some sort of transportation industry stock, right? But just to give an example, this is going to be more specific to what you're looking at. So this is more finely tuned. This is broader spectrum of analysis. So again, I'll just pop all so you can see what that looks like, right? Euro, GBP, AUD, CHF. CHF is Swiss franc. I know it looks a little bit weird, but that's what it stands for, right? Euro, Great British Pound, Canadian dollar, New Zealand dollar, Japanese yen. Okay, and the only ones that aren't here are Australian. What was it? No, Australian dollars there. It's AUD. Were we missing one? NZD. No, New Zealand dollar. We got that. Yep, those are pretty much all the major ones, okay? Anything that's considered a major currency pair is anything that has the United States dollar in it. Otherwise, everything else that's matched up is considered a minor pair, okay? That is really all I can tell you regarding fundamental and technical analysis. That's all that really means, okay? So I would say get familiar with your websites, get familiar with looking at your fundamental analysis before you start jumping into your technicals. It doesn't take long. Like you saw, we can just Alt-Tab, go into here and be like, yeah, so on September 7th, the Bank of Canada rate statement's coming out, so maybe the Canadian dollar is going to have some sort of volatility at 8 a.m. on September 7th, right? Look over here, maybe any CAD pair. Let's go CAD JPY. All right. CAD JPY might have some potential movement in a week. Where is that going to go? So we can analyze. We drew a large fib. Here was a reversal. It could possibly bounce off this area and start dropping, right? Depending if rates start to decrease. So lots of things to kind of keep in mind. Fundamentals, you know, they could work out in your favor. They could not, right? That's why for me, technicals are always number one. Fundamentals I like to take a look at. Just to see if it matches my technical analysis. If it doesn't match, I'll be a little hesitant to take those trades. But overall, technical is my bread and butter. That's where I am able to analyze, right? And that is exactly what we're going to be teaching. I'm not going to be jumping in on dissecting fundamental analysis and popping into specific stocks, right, and showing you how to analyze financial statements. There's plenty of books and other tutorials that do this. It'll be done much better than me, but I feel that this is my strength and I want to share it with you so you guys can be successful as well. All right, so stay tuned for the next video.